So we are here at the Science Museum of Virginia to check out Ultimate Dinosaurs, which has multiple different museum mounts. And also, right outside, there is a Spinosaurus skull, which I've actually never seen in person. So seeing it now life-size, it's kind of daunting in a way. I'm looking forward to seeing what else they got in here. But yeah, this is awesome. Another really cool detail that they have is that they have these dinosaur footprints on the ground, which is really cool. Recording this on a selfie stick, which I've never done before, but hey ho, first time for everything, right? I'm becoming a professional vlogger. There we go. Isn't it glorious? I'm gonna try to zoom out for y'all. Yeah. What do you think of that? That's awesome. Looking forward to seeing what's inside. Look at that. That's really cool. We got an Rahonavis and Suchomimus banner. I can't wait for that. We got a sticker on this. It's official, we're in. So what do we have here? So these are like little miniature replicas. So one is a Giga. Oh, these are these aren't displays. This is like stuff you get at a gift shop. Oh, that's not cheap. It gives me serious Jurassic Park vibes with the way that theropod is curled around. I don't know, there's just something about it. So up on the ceiling, we have what looks like a Quetzalcoatlus, and it is huge. Look at the size of that thing. And we got these. I think I have a fossil of one of those. That's a whale. That's the tooth of a megalodon, which is quite small. Then we got some sort of ammonite. I have a trilobite fossil back home, but it's about the size of my thumbnail. That looks like, well, it says it right there. It's a Stegosaurus foreleg. It's about the size of my forearm. They've got this beautiful mural here of what looks like to be a Giganotosaurus, which I think is one of the dinosaurs they'll have on display, which is really exciting. And here we are. It looks like we have some information boards along the sides, which I will let us take a look at here in a moment. And we got some information on footprints, which you can see here, like in the rock. Really fascinating information. Also like footprints, not bones. And then we have what looks like to be a diagram of the dinosaur lineages. We have Ornithia, Sauristia, Theropod, Sauropod. And then we have a timeline of Earth, which actually has like the diagrams of how Earth was over the course of millions of years. There's also Braille here, so those of you who have an impairment of sight, it's all there. Like we got, you know, all the way from Jurassic, all the way to the Cretaceous period, although they did get this little bit of information wrong. It's supposed to be 66, 65. And then there's this glorious view here. I am looking forward to seeing all of this and more. I've seen that documentary before. And over here, we have, I think we have Eoraptor. Then we have Rahonavis, which is, I think this is the first time I've actually seen like a fossil replica of it, which looks quite imposing. And then I believe this one over here is Dinosaurs, small herbivore from the Triassic period. These are really cool. Oh, and it looks like we have like this little fossil replica of a Cryolophosaurus skull. The moment I touched it, something went wrong. And when like normally when you see them in games or stuff like that, you don't normally associate with something being this big. But look at the size of this thing. This is a tiddler in comparison to some of the other big dinosaurs that were around. This is incredible. You can see like the little crests above the eye ridge. It's a beautiful skeletal mount. And of course we got, information board here describing the dinosaur. They also have this little thing here. If we look closer, fossils found, fossils missing. And now we have this view over here of Rahonavis and Giganotosaurus. First time I've ever seen these skeletal mounts. I've never seen them. Again, this really puts into perspective how big these animals really were. Like, again, this is a small, relatively small carnivore in comparison to like T-Rex and stuff like that. But this thing is still really, really big. There's also a display board of a Giganotosaurus jaw and some bone here. But look at that. That's incredible. I wonder what this is made of. It's clearly painted in gold, but I don't think it's gold. I'd be very shocked if it was. As well as the Giganotosaurus, they also have a tiny little Rahonavis. It is preposterously small. Now, like, that's basically chicken size, which is quite funny. I think it's one of the smaller creatures that they have on display, and it's just hanging on that thread on the ceiling. Look at that, that's crazy. It's so tiny. Behind me, there is a massive Suchomimus. Look at the size of those claws. Those are incredibly daunting. What a beautiful specimen. They even have cast replicas of the claw, which is a lot bigger than my hand here, like much bigger. And we have a tooth. It's very interesting. We also have what looks like fossilized remains of fish. Like this looks like the rostrum of a Onchopristis, which I think it says right here. And we got a lungfish of some sort. And Lepidotus. And there it is. The buck-toothed wonder that is the Mashikosaurus. Where's Beelzebufo? Yeah, even though it's still a really small dinosaur, it looks quite big in comparison to me. It's shocking. And then we have the distinguished gentleman, the Shimoshukash, the vegetarian crocodilian, which looks quite fascinating. I like that they included the osteoderms on the back. Like that could have been a detail they easily left out. And also in the back, I just want to point this out. I just noticed they have a beautiful mural of like the dinosaurs from Madagascar. Guys, there are real fossils here. And it looks like this, judging from the silhouette, might be Suchomimus. Now, I actually have my own fossil that I brought with me, a bit of T-Rex tooth. So I know what it's like to hold one of these, but I have never laid hands on a leg. This is quite special. 95 million years old bone. Absolutely gorgeous texture. It feels a lot like polished wood. We have all these teeth here. We have a Spinosaurus, which is actually quite imposing now that I have had a look at it. Sauropod tooth. Very, kind of looks like a bullet. A crocodilian osteoderm. And of course, a Giganotosaurus tooth, which is quite possibly one of the scariest teeth I have seen in a while. And then here, the coup de gras, we have a sauropod vertebrate. It's not really that big. This looks like it might belong to Nigersaurus, which isn't one of the bigger sauropods. It's actually quite small. But look at the size of that. This thing is the size of my head, basically. That's quite impressive. And then we got a little bit of bone over here. The diagram shows this is like meant to be a neck and a tail. I can see it. This fossil here of a sterosternum. Okay. And a Mesosaurus. Kind of looks like the skeletons of lizards that I found in the backyard a couple times. And here we have what looks like a cast replica, a partial skull of a Dinosaur, which is quite small. And look at that, that is tiny. We also have plant fossils. I do have a plant fossil back home from the Carboniferous. Look at that, you can still see like the leaves in the stone. Again, this is a cast fossil, but these are really impressively like recreated. Like, look at that. You can see all the stems, the individual veins and all that stuff. I really like the color on that. I don't know why, but it reminds me of peanut brittle of all things. Oh dear. And they even have a display here that details how a fossil is turned into a cast. So if any of you guys are in a museum, work in paleontology or sculptor, take some notes from this. This could be very helpful for you designers out there. I believe that is also part of the documentary that I was talking about. Yep. It looks like we also got some fossil displays of crocodilians. According to the board here, we got Hamadasuchus, Elosuchus, and Agilisuchus, I think that's how it's pronounced.
To feel paleontology firsthand and to learn about some of the most exciting dinosaur discoveries from the paleontologists that actually made them right here.
Preach, my friend. And here is what looks like a whole leg of a Photaloncosaurus, which is a type of titanosaur. And it is quite big. That whole, like just the lower leg itself, like the shin, looks like it's bigger than I am. Again, we have another imposing display of an Rahonavis. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Got the sail running down the back. Got like the little thumb spikes. Absolutely beautiful mount. Tiny fossils add to the big picture. Rock the drum back and forth until you see a fossil fragment. Fun little interaction with the display. Don't really see anything coming out though. Hey guys, have you ever wondered what a Giganotosaurus looks like with this skull? Yep. Even the skull looks like an Aztec curse that was placed upon your household. That is quite insane. Look at that. Look at that thing from the front. And then we have this large sauropod. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. I don't think I've actually heard of this one. It's apparently called Malowisaurus, which might have actually been an African species, if I'm not speaking out of my rear end. I know for a fact that at least one of my viewers is going to be excited that this is here. There is a Giganotosaurus skull here. However, the skull shape on this particular specimen isn't quite right, because now we know the skull of Giganotosaurus actually slopes down a bit more than that. It's not exactly like this triangular as we once believed. So this does need some updating, but apart from that, it looks really good. And over here, we have one of my favorite raptors here, the Austroraptor, which I would call the Pinocchio raptor at times. It's not until you actually see a skeleton mount in a museum do you really get a sense of how small you are in comparison. This thing is huge. It could look me dead in the eye and I would be scared silly over this. They even have like a little cast of like a titanosaur egg, which is really cool. It looks a lot like a kiwi. I don't know why. Shifting gears from that monstrosity, we have a buitree raptor, I think it is, which I think is another one of those Unenlagian raptors like Ostroraptor back there. And it is so small in comparison. Look at that. We're looking at a dinosaur that's, I don't think, Velociraptor sized. It might actually even be smaller than that, but look at that. That is so puny. And here we go. We have a massive Amargasaurus skeleton. I have never seen any of these fossils before. I don't think I've even seen a life-size model of them. But looking at it from down here, I feel very small indeed. And look at it, it looks gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful animal. Now, if I remember correctly, only one Carnotaurus fossil has ever been found, an almost complete skeleton. Oh dear. This is quite possibly one of the scariest mounts in the entire display. It's very imposing. The lighting makes it all the more intimidating. This is a very, very beautiful Carnotaurus mount here. This is gorgeous. Then over here, we have some sauropod femur, and it is, I would say, about half my length. Like that, this thing is half as long as I am tall. It is, again, daunting. And there are also like displays here. Oh, and they show like, they actually show like the dinosaurs like on display, which is really cool. So look at that. There it is, folks. The reason most people would come to this alone, because here we have a mounted Giganotosaurus skeleton, and it is gigantic, pun unintended. It's a gorgeous specimen. I feel minuscule. Look at the size of the skull alone. It is massive. This is an animal over 40 feet long, and it really does show. I think like a quarter of this museum's room, from that end to the other, is a whole quarter. This thing is a monster. And then of course, the last thing on this little tour is this huge, and I mean huge, vertebrae of an Argentinosaurus. I've wanted to see one of these for a while. I've seen pictures, I've seen them in documentaries, but this really puts it to perspective just how enormous this dinosaur is. This thing was the biggest animal to have ever walked the earth, and my backbone is like that small in comparison to this giant. It's quite humbling, actually. And there you have it, folks. That was the ultimate dinosaur experience here at the Science Museum of Virginia. The show is going on all the way up until the 1st of September. If you happen to be in Richmond at the time, I highly suggest you check it out. So if you enjoyed this video and you look forward to seeing more, leave a like, subscribe today, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything new. All my links are in the link tree in the description down below. And until next time, this is Tyranno Senpai signing off. Alrighty then. Take care now. Bye-bye then. I see a great big dinosaur.
He wants to eat you.
I don't think I'd be that tasty. When we saw fossils that were only on display like for South America and Africa, we still somehow wind up with a Tyrannosaurus Rex in this video. Finally, someone who understands it.